Welcome to Andy's Bet Club. I'm Joe, and we are going to put together a four-leg bet builder for you for this weekend's game between Liverpool and Manchester City. I'm feeling good about this one, not least because I'm on a victory lap. My debut episode that I was on, myself, Rob and Robin, we put together a winning four-leg bet builder for Spurs v Man City. So today, no pressure, Ramis, no pressure, Marcus. We got to get it done. We got to keep the run going here. Do you think you've got what it takes, Marcus?
I hope so. It's an exciting game to try and do so. I am more of a pessimistic punter these days. Got to stay on a level playing field. Never too high, never too low. That's kind of my MO. But yeah, hopefully looking to back up the boys and come in with another winner.
I've heard like football managers say that. Never too high after a victory, never too low after a victory. Something to learn from that maybe. Ramis, this game, I mean, it would be a huge match last season, but for a number of reasons, it's not a title sort of battle this season. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to be an entertaining game. How are you seeing this?
Yeah, I think there's still plenty of animosity between the sides, a lot of history there. Obviously, the Klopp Guardiola battles will live long in the memory. But this, I still think it's a really consequential game. I think this is a very, very important weekend in the context of the Premier League. You've got Liverpool, who are probably going to be battling out with United and Chelsea for that final kind of Champions League spot. And I can see that being a battle that goes all sorts of ways between now and the end of the season. I think at some points you'll see United ahead, then Liverpool ahead, then Chelsea ahead. And then from City's point of view, I think this is very important for them because they're just about still clinging to the coattails of Arsenal.
Should make for an interesting game. So I'll throw it straight back to you, Ramis. What's your first pick for our four-leg bet builder today?
So me and Marcus have gone with Hugo Ekitike to have one or more shots on target at 1.44. Obviously, Ekitike coming into this game on the back of a brace against Newcastle, a very well taken brace as well. And he's really impressed me. I always think that sometimes players that come over from the Bundesliga, specifically attackers we've seen in the past, Jadon Sancho, Timo Werner, it takes them a while to either adapt to the league or they never adapt to the league because they find it quite difficult, not having the same space, not having the same time that they do in the Bundesliga. But Ekitike has kind of shattered all of those misconceptions that people may have about players that come from the Bundesliga. He scored 10 goals across 15 starts in Premier League this season, which in itself, if the season was to end today, is a pretty decent return. I know some people probably talk about his price tag and say, well, he probably should be getting up there. But I've been very, very impressed with him. As I said, that brace against Newcastle was a good example of kind of what he can offer, and I've been particularly impressed with him because he's kind of shouldering a burden that you probably didn't expect to. Isak injured, Salah misfiring. He's kind of the only one that has really got the goals for Liverpool, and that's shown if you look at their goal scoring stats this season. He's the top scorer by 5 goals. Gakpo's behind him with 5. So it's not really something that Liverpool can rely on for their whole attacking front line to be firing. Ekitike is kind of the only one. One of the things that really stood out to me when I was doing the research for this game is Ekitike's shot volume. So he's had 51 shots across those 15 starts, works out about 3.42 per game. Now, of those, only 17 have found the target. So he's an erratic shooter. He probably takes on shots and efforts that he probably could be better placed to pass or create a chance. But I actually think that plays to our advantage in this bet. If you were going to take Ekitike just for 2 shots in this game, that's at 1.13, which is very, very short. So I think taking him on the shot on target angle is a slightly better option for this game.
Yeah, one of the bright lights of Liverpool this season, one of the few positives. Marcus, he did get hauled off in the reverse fixture relatively early on in the second half. Wasn't his finest game. Should there be reason for encouragement when you look at Man City's defence right now, however?
Yeah, I have not been convinced by Manchester City's defence for a long, long time. They've been conceding really frequently, particularly away from home. Their last 3 away games in all competitions, they let in 2 goals at Tottenham, 3 goals at Bodo Glimt, and another 2 goals at Manchester United, didn't they, in Carrick's first game? So, yeah, not a lot of confidence there. And then when you look back at the performance last weekend, the way Liverpool sliced open Newcastle, particularly in that sort of spell at the back end of the first half, yeah, it's not a Manchester City defence that really convinces me at the moment, and particularly for this matchup, it's one where I can see Ekitike having a lot of joy.
Well, let's lock it in then. Hugo Ekitike to have 1 or more shots on target in this game. Marcus, right back at you. What are you thinking for the next selection in our bet builder?
So our second selection is over 1.5 Liverpool goals at 1.91, which was not a price I thought we'd be getting close to when we were doing the research for this one. Off mic, Ramis and I were discussing quite a few pro-Liverpool angles coming into this match. Double chance came up as one that we really liked. But we've ended up landing on over 1.5 Liverpool goals for that little bit of extra juice in the price. It is the longest leg of today's bet builder, but I definitely think it's one that's going to give us a run for our money. Liverpool are as low as 1.13 with some bookmakers to score over 0.5 goals. So as soon as that one lands, we're just one Liverpool goal away from landing this leg. Again, Manchester City's defence. They've conceded in 4 of their last 5, with the only clean sheet in that run coming against Wolves. There's a scheduling advantage for Liverpool as well. Man City had to play a very physical Newcastle side on Wednesday, where the Reds had the week off. And then, as I touched on, the recent away form, even we all saw that early kickoff in the Champions League, Bodo Glimt scoring 3 goals past them. We only need 2 here for Liverpool to land this bet. It's coming in 3 of Liverpool's last 5 home league games, and in those 2 exceptions, they did post XG totals of 2.08 and 3.18. So they're clearly regularly getting opportunities to score more than 1 goal at home.
Yeah, I'm sure, Ramis, you saw how Man City got on at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I imagine the odds increased for us here pretty healthily after that performance. I imagine very much influenced by that display as well.
Yeah, it's something that City have kind of been struggling with throughout the season. I touched at the start that I back City to kind of get into a lead, but I don't think that they can see out games. And that's kind of reflected in the stats. They've dropped 11 points from leads at half-time in the Premier League this season. Only West Ham have dropped more points from being in a winning position in the first half. And that kind of shows you everything about City at the moment. I mean, Marcus touched on it a bit there about City's back line. In the previous head-to-head, which they actually won 3-0, they had Diaz and Guardiola. And I think when they've got those two, there's an element of assuredness about City's back line, especially if you put Rodri ahead of them. Then you're kind of like, that's a complete unit. But both of them are doubts for this game. And I think that actually puts players like Nunes a bit more of a risk, O'Reilly a bit more of a risk. The whole back line just seemed to lose a little bit of that confidence when Diaz and Guardiola aren't there. And also with City, they've got a torrid record at Anfield. Only won once at the stadium since 2011. Guardiola has spoken multiple times about how much he hates going to visit Anfield. So if Liverpool get one, I don't think a second will be that far away. We've seen many times what can happen at Anfield if you succumb to the pressure, which City probably will at some point. I can see him getting in a few goals pretty quickly.
Well, maybe some more forehead scratches from Pep Guardiola. So that's over 1.5 Liverpool goals. We'll add that. We're halfway through our 4-leg bet builder here. Hugo Ekitike to have 1 or more shots on target and over 1.5 Liverpool goals. Ramis, what else have we got in mind?
So our third selection is Matheus Nunes to win 1 or more fouls at 1.44. Now, again, when I was looking through this game, I always kind of like to look at what matchups, what battles are probably going to be key here. And the one between Nunes and Gakpo really stood out to me. So Liverpool don't actually commit many fouls as a team. They are quite aggressive with their press, but that doesn't always turn out to committing fouls. So it's about 9.5 per game. But what's really interesting is if you look at Liverpool's 2 top foul committed players this season, it's Gakpo and Ekitike. So Ekitike has committed 26 fouls and Gakpo has committed 24. So focusing on Gakpo's duel with Nunes, he's the second highest Liverpool fouler in the Premier League this season, and I think he'll be able to bring Nunes down at least once. Nunes has been fouled in 4 of his last 5 Premier League appearances. Pep Guardiola has kind of worked his magic and somehow made him a right back. I didn't think that was something that he'd ever be able to do, to be honest, after seeing him in the first few weeks. But again, because City's back line is a bit disrupted without Diaz and Guardiola, I think that makes Nunes a bit more exposed, and I think Liverpool will be aware of that. So I could see a lot of traffic down his side, and the fact that Liverpool's forwards are the ones that are committing fouls is probably a better way to play this game, is to look at City defenders to win fouls instead of maybe Gakpo to commit. It might be a bit shorter.
It's interesting because I think with Nunes, Marcus, obviously it's not his natural position prior to this season, but his probably confidence on the ball probably draws pressing forwards in a lot deep, closer to him, which probably leads to more of these fouls. He's taking more risks, and it's certainly reflected in that by sort of the amount of fouls that he does win.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why Pep is choosing to use him in this role is his athletic profile. We've definitely seen an increase in the physicality of play and the size of players even in the last few years of the Premier League. And I think that's why Pep's really leaning towards a player like Matheus Nunes rather than someone like Rico Lewis. And of course, those his likelihood to engage with someone as quick and as strong as Cody Gakpo. So I definitely think it's a shrewd pick.
Nice. So that's Matheus Nunes to be fouled one or more times at 1.44. That leaves us with one more selection. Marcus, I'll leave it to you. What have we got in mind?
So last selection is Ryan Gravenberch to commit one or more fouls at 1.36. Now, part of this angle isn't necessarily to do with Ryan Gravenberch. For me, he's in this system with Dominic Szoboszlai set to play at right back. Ryan Gravenberch is actually having to do loads more defensive work than he needs to. They're trying to cover themselves for what Szoboszlai can offer them further up the pitch. We saw him play such a huge part in their win over Newcastle last weekend, bombing forward. Now, I think slightly similarly to how we saw for years with Jordan Henderson filling in for Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, we're almost seeing that years later in a slightly different way, with Gravenberch having a bigger role to play off the ball. In that Newcastle game last week, he actually committed 3 fouls. We only need 1 for this bet, of course. And all 3 of those fouls were in the right half of the pitch. There was 2 on Joe Willock and 1 on Harvey Barnes. Joe Willock was on the left of a midfield 3, Harvey Barnes on the left of a front 3 for Newcastle. So we're potentially going to see him drifting over to those areas a bit more in this game again. In the most recent head-to-head between the sides, Gravenberch committed 2 fouls at the Etihad, and City are the have won the 6 most fouls in the Premier League this season. There's some players with really healthy foul averages that I feel will be operating in and around Gravenberch. In this game, you've got Foden at 1.37, fouls 1 per 90. Reinders is at 0.82. Even Rodri's at 2.11. Yeah, planning to go out with Gravenberch, hopefully sealing another winner for us.
Yeah, I don't know how you couldn't see Rodri's whining after Man City's last game and think, nip at their heels again, target them. I imagine that Arne Slot will be telling Ryan Gravenberch to leave it in a couple times and hurt those kind of players, those skillful and classy, confident passing players. So yeah, are you with Marcus here, Ramis, on this one?
Yeah, I think if you look at the first meeting between these sides, which City won 3-0, there were 29 match fouls. Both sides kind of overachieved their averages for the season. As I mentioned, Liverpool don't have a particularly strong foul record, but this game, this occasion seems to bring out of them. There's a lot of players here that have competed in the Klopp-Guardiola battles before, so there is that animosity there, and I think you'll see an increase on the foul averages again from both sides.
Nice. So thanks, gents. We have our 4-leg bet builder here. Hugo Ekitike to have more than 1 shot on target, over 1.5 Liverpool goals, Matheus Nunes to be fouled 1 or more times, and Ryan Gravenberch to commit 1 or more fouls. That's combined odds of 4.32. We are going through Sky Bet on this one. You can follow us in by going to the show notes on this podcast and clicking the link. That will take you through to the bet builder yourself. Or if you go on andysbetclub.co.uk/bet-builder, you can tailor your own bet builder there on their amazing free bet builder tool. Please gamble responsibly. Players must be 18 or over. That's it for this episode. Thank you very much to my Andy's Bet Club experts, Marcus. Thank you, Marcus.
Thanks for having me on.
And thank you very much, Ramis.
Thank you. I hope you're our good luck charm this week, Joe.
I hope so too. Hopefully when we reunite, we'll be all just washing over that amazing feeling that I've got right now. I can't wait to share it with you. Our next episode is Sunderland, Liverpool. Join us then. Make sure you're subscribed to Andy's Bet Club on your podcast feed so you don't miss an episode. Until then, goodbye and good luck.